Hello, I'm Becca Bailey, the Community Engagement Liaison with Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Very excited to inform you that this month, April is featuring a theme of diversity. ACDHH has taken on the topic of diversity with modes of communication. Very exciting. We conducted 3 interviews with our specialists. We will get an idea of what their choices are for communication: deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing. Keep in mind, all 3 of them communicate the same, have the same preference? No. And also, we're going to see how they process information, and is it the same? It could be visual, it could be tactile, or some other ways. There's some barriers that are still out there to communication, and we're going to spotlight 2: the communication barrier, as well as attitudes that present a barrier to communication. We really want to show you how you can be more inclusive with the information we share for all.
Hello, I'm Kim Menard. I'm a deaf specialist with the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and the Hard of Hearing, ACDHH. ASL, American Sign Language, is my first language, and I use that to communicate every day with my friends, my family, and at my job, and every day, every part of my life. I signed with my parents growing up all the time. Deaf people all communicate the same? Nope. Some deaf people use ASL, some use English, and some speak. We are not all the same. How do I communicate every day when I go out? For example, if I go to the grocery store and I have to talk to somebody, I can grab my phone and text with them, or write on a piece of paper. I can also gesture if I need to, or point to what I want to show them. How do I call my deaf friends? I use a video phone. It looks like FaceTime. We can see each other and communicate that way. When I go to the doctor's office, if I want to communicate there, I can use my video phone and connect to VRS, Video Relay Service. I can see the interpreter on the screen, and the interpreter will interpret whatever the doctor says and then speak whatever I sign, so we can communicate back and forth. I use it for all kinds of appointments, so I can communicate every day. Everything visual is so important in our language. Facial expressions, body language, that's a big part of ASL. You know how hearing people have voice inflections to differentiate meaning? Well, deaf people use facial expressions to emphasize different meanings. It is very important. Deaf people have different lenses for how they are included into the deaf community. And we depend on a lot of visual clues, such as pictures, captions. We may hire an interpreter or a deaf signer, whatever you prefer. Also, there's another option, picture-in-a-picture, where you could make the interpreter the same size as the person speaking. It's important to be inclusive. Social media nowadays is very important for us to get our information and news and to communicate. And now they have free captioning. A person can speak, and the captions show up, and then they can make it perfect for you to enjoy. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Julie Stalinsky. I'm the DeafBlind Specialist at the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I serve over 400 deaf-blind and combined vision and hearing loss individuals here in the state of Arizona. My role at the Commission is to advocate, empower, provide resources and information, and support the SSP program. Individuals who are deaf-blind or have combined vision and hearing loss experience a range of vision and hearing loss. Individuals who are deaf-blind are typically completely deaf and completely blind and use tactile communication. Some individuals who are fully deaf and blind might use Braille, and that's how they receive their emails or text communications. On the other end of the spectrum, it might be a person who has low vision, so they might need to be closer to you in order to communicate so that they can see the signs. It's all dependent on the type of vision loss that the individual has. If they have tunnel vision, they can only see within a certain amount of space, and they have to be closer to you. Others, depending on their visual field, will have to be further away from you in order to see the signed communication. Individuals who are deaf and blind or have combined vision and hearing loss might have a preference of the shirt color that you wear, the background color that your signs are based on, so that it is easier for them to access the visual communication. Individuals with combined vision and hearing loss can be individuals who are hard of hearing and use spoken English to communicate, and then fully blind. They might have hearing aids or cochlear implants to be able to access auditory communication, or use assistive listening devices to make communication more effective. Some might communicate through Braille. My point being that different communication styles for this community are quite varied. The deaf, blind, and combined vision and hearing loss community members typically can't access their visual environment. If we look at one end of the spectrum, those who are fully blind, in a noisy environment, they will rely on a support service provider. And the role of the support service provider is to provide that background information. Suppose a deaf-blind individual is at the grocery store. An SSP will be there to describe the types of fruit that is in the produce section at that time, or the types of meat that are on sale in the case. The SSP will talk about what things look like, the quality, the price, and then the deaf-blind individual can make an informed decision on what they purchase. So that's an example of what a support service provider, or SSP, does in supporting a deaf-blind individual to provide that environmental information they don't have access to visually. On the other end of the spectrum, those with combined vision and hearing loss, if somebody was hard of hearing and had low vision, they could use their hearing aid, cochlear implant, or an assistive listening device to gain more access to their environment and the information around them. The community of deaf-blind and individuals with combined vision and hearing loss are often isolated due to barriers in communication. If you think about a deaf-blind individual sitting around a dinner table with others, that person would need to be notified who was at the table, who was sitting where, so that they knew when they turned to talk to somebody to the right or the left, they knew who they were speaking to. And they also knew whether or not that person knew sign language and that they can communicate with them directly. Oftentimes, deafblind individuals are left out of the communication, even if they're at a table with other individuals. So something for you to consider, that you make sure that a deafblind individual who is with you is included in the conversation and not left out.
Hi, my name is Christy Abrams, and I'm the hard of hearing specialist for ACDHH. Since the age of 6, I've been navigating severe bilateral hearing loss, and I wear 2 behind-the-ear power hearing aids. Living with hearing loss gives me a true passion for providing support, resources, education, and information to others who are coping with this disability. People who are hard of hearing use their voice to communicate, often do not understand the sounds of speech, feel left out of conversations, social gatherings, and most do not use American Sign Language. Captioning provides equal access and effective communication. Communication access, real-time translation, or CART, captioning, and automatic speech recognition are important to know about. People who are hard of hearing experience communication barriers all day long. Meetings at work, restaurants, grocery stores, doctor appointments, you name it. When people who are hard of hearing advocate for themselves, it improves understanding and communication. April is Diversity Month, and I hope you will have an opportunity to learn more about hearing loss and how this impacts more than 48 million people across our country. With hearing loss numbers on the rise, it's important to understand the emotional, social, psychological impact of hearing loss. Gaining insight, empathy, understanding, and helpful strategies will greatly improve communication for people who are hard of hearing. Being hard of hearing since the age of 6 has given me excellent hypervigilance. I may not always hear the sounds of speech, but I listen with my eyes and glean as much information as possible from what I see. Body language, facial expressions, and lip reading. Whenever I use Zoom or when I'm on a webinar, I always benefit from seeing the speaker's face. Even though there may be captions, I still need to see the speaker's face to fully process speech sounds and information. Next time you're with someone who's hard of hearing, here are important strategies that will greatly improve communication. These are game-changing strategies that will help to include the person who is hard of hearing. First, obtain the person's attention. Make sure they can see your face. If it's a group setting, speak one at a time. Make sure there's good lighting on the speaker's face, and make sure no obstacles hide your mouth. Slow down a bit. Put some space between your words. When someone does not hear you, rephrase it. Say it a different way and add new clues. Repeat if necessary, but don't say never mind or forget it, as this gives the message that the person's not important enough to say it again. Communication takes 2 people, and we're all in it together.